Hi, my name is Emily Iannelli, and I am male to female transgender. And I tried to write a little poetry about my life, my experiences, what it's like to be transgender, what it's like to struggle with depression, bipolar disorder, raising a son who's autistic, and losing both my parents to suicide. So I try to encapsulate all that I experienced in my life through my writings, and I am represented by TuneCore. TuneCore is my agent, and I have 6 albums and 7 singles, and I'm distributed on most digital sites like iTunes, Apple, Google Play, Apple, iHeartRadio, um, Amazon Prime, um, um, so many, I can't remember them all. But if you're interested, check out T Girl Angel, T hyphen Girl Angel, and you can hear some of my work. It's mostly spoken word poetry, and I did an experimental album which was electronica, but I am mostly spoken word. So I'm going to show some pictures so you can get a little better glimpse into my life. This is very hard for me to talk about because I know the pain, but I've come to grips with what was a deep and intense struggle. So I want you all to know that my mom, this is a picture of my mom when she was a high school graduate, and you can see she was very beautiful. And my mom struggled with mental illness from her early 30s up until the day she passed away at age 50. She was born on July 1st, 1939. She married in April 1960, and I was born on January 18th, 1961. So my mom was roughly 39, 49, 59, 60, 61. My mom was only 21 years old when I was born. She was 20 when she married, and 21 when I was born. I was the firstborn of 3. I have 2 sisters. My middle sister was born on January 7th, 1963, so my mom was 23. And my youngest sister was born on July 19th, 1967. So my mom was 39, 49, 59, 69. She was 28 years old when my youngest sister was born. She's a beautiful woman, but she struggled with mental illness, manic depression, which now is called bipolar disorder, and she struggled with paranoia, schizophrenia, but she managed to work through the years as we grew, and she worked as an executive secretary at Metropolitan Life. But throughout her life, she was in and out of hospitals. She suffered intensely. This is my dad, who I'm very proud of. He was a wonderful father. He was an iron worker. My mom and dad had a wonderful relationship. It was very hard on my dad when my mom got sick. It took its toll. And my dad was in a very dangerous profession where he witnessed death. This picture actually is on the Verrazano Bridge that links Brooklyn to Staten Island. And one day he was working on the bridge, and there's a writer who wrote, after interviewing my dad, the chapter is called Death on the Bridge. Actually, my dad was working with a gentleman who was one of his friends, and tragically he lost his footing and was dangling on the catwalk. And my dad tried desperately to reach and grab hold of him, but my dad didn't have the upper strength to grab him, as he was much heavier, the gentleman. And there was another ironworker who saw my dad in peril as well. So he jumped on top of my dad, essentially pulling him back. But my dad lost grip of the gentleman, Gerard McKee, who fell to his death. And my dad was never the same after that. And after that tragedy, it started he had a lot of guilt, and he started drinking alcohol, and eventually alcohol sadly took control of his life. My dad tragically died by suicide on April 16, 2009, after he knew his taxes were filed. That's just the way he was. He wanted to make sure he was good with the IRS. Then the next day he took his life and jumped in front of a train. And my mom died 19 years earlier, on March 21st, 1990, at the age of 50. My dad was the only one who was so intertwined with her that he kind of became very different in his view of life, because my mom was everything to him. So essentially losing her, I think he lost part of himself. And 19 years was a long time to go on without her. And my dad got to witness my sisters. My mom was there for one of my sisters getting married, and for one of her grandchildren, a grandson. But my dad was there for all of us. He got to see my two sisters marry and have children. My middle sister has 3 children, and she lost a child at birth. And my younger sister has 4 children. My middle sister has a girl and 2 boys. My younger sister has 3 girls and a boy. And I married in December 27th of 1997 in a civil wedding, but we had sex shortly thereafter, and my wife told me she was pregnant, and we scheduled our wedding first in November of 1998, but when we found out our son was due in December, we pushed the date earlier to September 12th, 1998, when we had a church wedding, and we had about 100 guests. And then our son was born on December 8th, 1998. This is a picture of me as a baby. You can see that I was born a boy. Edward Donald Iannelli III, and my parents were very happy that they had a son, and they had 2 girls. So I was the only boy in the family, and my mom was very protective of me, and my dad as well. This is a picture of me, my mom, and my sister, my middle sister, I should say. My younger sister wasn't yet born. And this is in our, I don't know if this, looks like we were at a park, because the trees are too big to be in our backyard. And my dad obviously took the picture. So I was 3 in this picture. My sister was very young, and my mom was about 24. And I would say at that age of 3, I felt like I was a girl. So I knew at a young age that I was different. And I was probably at that point in my life when I started feeling like a girl. So I hold this picture very close to my heart, because it represents my mom, me, and my sister. This is a picture of me graduating high school. As you could see, that was about the longest that I kept my hair, and for that time, that was pretty long for me, because my parents pretty much wanted me to have short hair. And you can notice my Adam's apple. Now it's not really as prominent, and I attribute it to the hormones, but you definitely could see I had the Adam's apple, and I never had any kind of surgery. I didn't do the shaving, but obviously in my high school picture, my Adam's apple was pretty prominent. That was 1979. I graduated from John F. Kennedy High School with a Regents diploma, and I was ready to go to college to study mechanical engineering. This is a picture of me being photographed by a friend of mine at one of our very first vacations, and I believe this was about a year before my mother passed away. I went with my friend to Walt Disney World, so you can see I was pretty young there. That was around 1989, so 61, 71, 81. So I was 28 years old. Right? 61, 71, 81, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 28. Yeah, I was 28 years old in that picture. And then, obviously, this is our wedding picture, my wife. And my wife is beautiful, Maria. She's Filipino. I was 37. This was the wedding where we had it at the church, and then we had it in Oceanside at the Knights of Columbus, um, and that was taken by a lake, which was a very memorable time. I still remember posing in that picture with my beautiful wife. It was one of the happiest days in my life, and I am very honored to still be married with my wife. I love her despite my struggles as a transgender woman. I try to live the normal male life, but throughout my years I struggled continuously, and I thought after marriage that I would not have to fight that feeling, but if you're transgender, you'll know it truly never goes away. And this is the pride and joy of my life. My son, Matthew. You can see the inset picture was when he was born at Mercy Hospital. And this was a cute picture of him with his teddy bear. He is such an adorable little boy. I can't believe he's now 18 years old. How time flies. And he's just the joy. He has struggles of his own too, as he's autistic. So we try our best to do what we can. He sadly lives in a residential school 6 hours away, so it is quite a struggle for us as a family. My wife has her brother, her sister, and her sister's 3 kids here who are young. They're younger than Matthew, and when Matthew's home they all get along nicely. So even though Matthew's an only child, he's got 3 cousins that are always playing with him, so that's good for him, and we hope that he can progress once he's finished with school. Obviously I'm on Social Security due to my bipolar disorder, and when I came out as a transgender woman, eventually I wound up losing my job due to discrimination, but I couldn't prove it, so it's just another thing I had to deal with. But luckily I had a good doctor and a good attorney to help me get on my Social Security disability and my long-term disability, and I have a good life insurance policy that will pay out $1 million to my wife and son if I die before age 75. And to be honest with you, I don't think I want to stick around. I mean, I can age up to 75, but as long as I die before October 1st of 2036, which would be the next time I'd have to pay a premium. Right now I have waiver of premium, and unless I came into money and I could afford the premium, then my policy would be continuing, but I'd have to pay for the premium, which is quite expensive. So I'm lucky I have waiver of premium up until October 1st, 2036. So if I were to go, it would have to be before that date. So even if I died on May in 2036, I'd be 75, living 24 years as a woman and 51 years as a man. and that would be okay with me. And my wife and son would benefits of my life insurance. I love you guys. Bye.